So, and this one's gonna be about habits and how to maintain habits or how to actually make habits so that they are going to stick to you. At least I assume this because, as always, this kind of intro is actually somehow fake because it is like the same exact episode. Like, yeah. See you after the intro. Or actually the kind of section before the intro because it is actually not the intro. But with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And I'm pretty pumped. I'm extremely fucking pumped to be here just because I changed my mind on how I'm going to do these episodes because my approach changed, how I'm doing them did not change. Well, to some bit it changed because I'm not going to cut it any longer. I'm not going to cut these episodes any longer unless, these things that I'm going to redistribute to other channels or if there's actually something that I have to cut. And then I'm just really looking forward to cutting it because now I can cut. Like throughout the past few days where I just had to actually cut those things. No, I do not want to be sad. Thank you. Oh my god. Pretty nice that the interface is fucking broken. Now, I'm not gonna cut these. These are going to be uncut as well as the podcast, unless there is actually something that I have to cut out because I'm saying something that might not be the best thing to say. Might actually be the case. I don't know. Has never happened before, I guess. I've only just once cut it out a fart of mine because I thought it's pretty goddamn loud. Therefore I thought no, let's just cut this out. But yeah, as you can already see on the left side of the screen, we are going ahead with actually a new article. I actually want to say summary, but it is never ever a summary. I'm actually going through quite a less amount of summaries in the past. But yeah, we're going through another article from James Clear, again, because they're amazing. They're totally amazing. And this one's going to be the 5 triggers that make new habits stick. Because I believe habits are just one of the fucking things that actually matter just such a lot. Therefore, it is just pretty important, and it would just be pretty important to know how to make them fucking stick. Therefore, we're going through this article to just gain the knowledge, gain the fucking information, and gain the new parts that might just be very valuable for you and for your life. Hopefully, at least. Hopefully. I'm really hoping that I'm really hoping that I'm able to provide something that somehow someone just can use to make his or her life better. Would be just amazing. Would really be amazing. But yeah, let's actually not lose a lot of time and go right ahead. Unfortunately, my screen is just extremely big and I do not want to say or see myself so enormously big. Therefore, I just made it smaller. Or do you make it smaller? Never mind. So in my book, New York Times bestselling book. So in my New York Times bestselling book, there's going to be just some mistake. Atomic Habits. I explain that the process of building a habit can be divided into 4 simple steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. He's starting ahead with just quite a lot of information already. But something that I do just want to point out, he is the author of Atomic Habits. I always thought that he's also having some book summaries on his site. Unfortunately, I was wrong because it is actually the paulminus.com website. Paul Minus himself is not an author, even though he has one book which is called Guidelines, which is basically a summary of a few books, which seems to be quite great, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't read it. I haven't had a glance at it, but it just sounds pretty well. The thing is, his articles, as I've been talking about them just for such a long time, or so often actually, they're just amazing. They really are amazing. And I hope and I assume that this is also going to be one of these just pretty amazing articles. Another thing that I'm just willing to show you is his Atomic Habits book, and I want to give you a few insights, and also want to give me and myself a few insights. Let's actually do this. Can I do it like this? Seems to be quite great. Let's type in Atomic Habits. And let's actually see what's coming up there. Yeah, there you can see. I always like this on the right hand side. You can see a little Google thing. Google provides for you with a lot of key specs and key information for, whatever you're searching for. I do just really like them because I believe it is just good. It's just pretty nice to have things in such an overview kind of type thing. But yeah, so Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break the bad ones. Fuck the bad ones, break the bad ones, from James Clear. So this is actually not a part of the title. But it was published in 2018 actually. It is not really old. I thought it would be just 250 or something. 15, not 50, 15. But something like this. Genre kind of obviously is self-help, and it is from James Clear. Well, yeah, I've actually thought like it isn't so new. But yeah, should we go through a little bit of the Google Books thing? Maybe there is something valuable in there. Maybe actually there is, because we don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. About the author. James Clear's work has appeared in the New York Times, Time and Entrepreneur, and on CBS This Morning, and is taught in colleges around the world, which is amazing. If your stuff gets actually taught, must be really amazing. I can actually change the size of it, which means when I'm doing it like this, yeah, it's pretty nice, because then you can also see it a little bit bigger. His website, jamesclear.com, receives millions of visitors each month, and hundreds of thousands subscribe to his email newsletter. He's the creator of the Habits Academy, the premier training platform for organizations and individuals that are interested in building better habits in life and work. Amazing introduction, I guess. So I didn't actually know that and it is, again, something that I could have thought about from the Penguin Random House, or from the Penguin publisher, which is also partly, I know, the publisher from Seth Godin. And for example, his book, This is Marketing, was also published with the Penguin. But I don't know if it's the Penguin Random House or if they're just the various other kind of publishers. But yeah, it has 306 pages, so it's not pretty long. You could go through it, I think, in a day. It really depends on your habit and or your just reading speed and whatsoever. But yeah, let's actually go ahead with the original article and see if there is a lot of good information in there. I guess really. I really assume there is. The habit loop, which is the thirst thing. The image below shows the habit loop and how these 4 factors work together to build new habits. I do hope that, I really think, because I've once actually had a look at my own episodes, because I actually do not consume them as a lot of YouTubers actually do. A lot of YouTubers just produce such a lot of fucking content, but never ever just have a look at their own things, which is the exact same thing for me as well. So I really don't watch my own shit. I guess I wouldn't, even if it was good. Nah, I'm really working on the quality. I'm really working, especially today at least, and or just something that I'm willing to do from now on, is just actually having a lot of fun during the episode, having a lot of fun doing the episodes, and also just putting a lot of my energy and put a lot of my enthusiasm into what I'm doing here, rather than just what I'm doing in post. Because even though, I could edit all these episodes so, well, I would say, or so greatly, But even though, like, when there's somebody staring in the video or in the video who is actually not passionate about what he's talking about, or actually really not interested in what he's talking about or what she is talking about, well, then the best edit can't make it good, or can't make it or him enthusiastic or her enthusiastic. Therefore, I'm just really trying to just put out as much fucking energy as I fucking have, and maybe actually just being myself. Just really being myself, talking the shit that I normally talk about. So yeah. So on the left hand corner, the top side, because it's, for all the podcast listeners, it is quite 4 squares, or you can think about it as 4 squares. And the left top one is cue, the right top one is craving, the right bottom one is response, and the left bottom one is the reward. And there is a little note on the bottom of this image which says Charles Duhigg and Nir Eyal. Nir Eyal, if I remember correctly, is also an author. Yeah, I guess so. Deserve special recognition for their influence on this image. This representation of the habit loop is a combination of language that was popularized by Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, and design that was popularized by Eyal's book Hooked. Yeah, it is Hooked. Which is actually also, or seems also to be, just a pretty amazing book. I just only know the cover, it is a head. I think it is just illustrated and yellow, even though I think there are just several covers, not one, or not only one. But yeah, I think it's a good book. It is basically about what gets viral, or what goes viral actually, why people watch certain things, and all those kind of things. Like, it's all about viral things, why people watch things, how to get viral, how to get people hooked on whatever you're doing, and all those things. I think it's a pretty amazing book, and I've also just been thinking about going through it. The thing actually is, it was available, if I remember correctly, it was available on the alanchang.com website. The bad part about this is now that the alanchang.com website is basically dead, at least for me, because you do just have to pay for every singular summary there from now on, which is like bad. Which is, I understand him. I clearly understand him. It's just a lot of work that he puts into what he's doing there, and yeah, it is a lot of work. I understand him. Still, for me as a content creator, someone who actually uses these information, well, not that nice, not that good. But as I said, I understand him completely. So each phase of the habit loop is important for building new habits. But today I would like to discuss the first factor, which is the habit cues, or triggers. And there are 5 primary ways that a new habit can be triggered. If you understand each of them, then you can select the right one for the particular habit that you are fucking working on. That is what you need to know about each habit cue. So there seems to actually be more than one cue or trigger actually. Is cue actually a synonym for trigger? Because I don't know. Signal, sign, indication, prompt, reminder, prompting, nod, word, hint. I would say so. Let's say it is actually a synonym. Because it's actually great to know for me, just because, well, I'm also learning a language right now, because English is not my fucking mother tongue. German is. Somehow, unfortunately, because I would just really, I'm just thinking about whether I would just like to be mother tongue. I don't know if you actually can say that like this. If I would like to be mother tongue in English or not, or if it wouldn't then just be so kind of cool, even though it is not. Talking in English, or sitting here and talking in English, and kind of being philosophical about those various things. Well, I don't know. Let's actually move on. Let's actually fucking move on. The first cue, or the first trigger, is time. Time is perhaps the most common way to trigger a new habit. Common morning habits are just an example. Waking up in the morning usually triggers a cascade of habits. Go to the bathroom, take a shower, brush your teeth, get dressed, make a coffee, etc. And there are also less commonly recognized ways that time triggers our behavior. For example, if you pay attention, you may notice that you repeat certain tasks mindlessly at different points during the day. Heading off to get a snack at the same time each morning, taking a smoking break at the same time each morning, and so on. Which is actually often the case, for those people that might be kind of struggling with gaining weight or something like this, that often we actually eat just because it's a habit and not just because we are hungry. Something that I've been actually consciously thinking about yesterday. As I was sitting here, I just finished, I think, editing one of the episodes or uploading one of the episodes. I don't remember. But the thing that then was like, okay, I had a few options on what I'm going to do after editing them. The first one was eating something. The second one basically was taking a shower. The third one could have been actually, I think, uploading the rest of the posts that I didn't do, and something else. Well, yeah, let's actually take those three ones. The first one was eating. The second, the third. What was the second one? What was the second one? I don't remember. The thing is, the moment when you don't remember things you have been talking about a second ago. Yeah. But the thing is, I've eaten something, or I went into the kitchen and ate something. And I was consciously thinking about it. The thing was, I was actually thinking like, I am not hungry. I'm really not hungry. I was not hungry yesterday because I've eaten so fucking much, for lunch. I've eaten so much, so much that I was actually triggered today to actually step on the scale and see if I've just gained a few weights or a few pounds actually. I have not, unfortunately, because I'm struggling with that somehow. The thing there was, I just chose to eat something, even though I wasn't even fucking hungry. And I guess it was just because it was actually the exact same time when I most of the time eat. And maybe I just wanted to eat something, I don't know, but I really assume that it is just because it is a habit of mine to eat at this certain fucking point in time, and therefore I've just eaten something. But I don't know, I'm really not sure, but it just stepped into my mind. Yeah. So if these patterns are bad habits, then you may want to take stock of how you feel at this time of day. At this time of the day. In many cases, your habits are a signal of how you feel. Bored? Maybe your afternoon snacking habit is a way of breaking up the monotony of the day. Feeling lonely? Maybe your smoking break is a way to connect with fellow coworkers. The point is, if you understand the reason why these habits pop up at the same time each day, then it can become easier to find a new habit to fill the void or the gap. Bad habits are replaced and not eliminated. Something that I've heard before, and I think, I'm just really thinking about it, whether it is true or whether it is right. So I believe it is true, but I'm always trying to evaluate or re-evaluate all those things, and a lot of statements where I kind of feel like maybe it is not truly right. Maybe there is something about it. Maybe there is something that can add to it that just breaks the whole kind of framework. But I assume, just also because I'm not really educated in the space, I've just not been kind of reading a lot about this, I assume it is actually right. And I'm always just thinking about whether I'm doing it as well, so whether I'm actually replacing bad habits, or I have been replacing bad habits with good ones instead of just killing them. But I guess so. But what are you thinking about it? Just hit me up in the comments, or actually hit me up on DM or in the DM section, Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or today I've actually created my TikTok account, and I'm really looking forward to actually producing content on TikTok, or actually, distributing content on TikTok, because I'm really not going to just, I'm just thinking about those music video things, and I like them. People are really creative with them, but I'm not gonna do something like this. I'm not. But I'm not saying like, okay, all people that are doing this are kind of, I don't know, crazy or something. I really don't. I haven't said it. But, and I don't even think about it because they're just really fucking creative. They just really just do a lot with this stuff. It is quite amazing sometimes even though I haven't had a look at much of these things or a lot of these things. Well, yeah. But I, by the way, think that we do a lot of things because we are bored. Whether it be eating, whether it be smoking, whether it be something else, I guess that we just do a lot of fucking shit because we are fucking bored. So how I use it? Time. Time-based cues can also be used to stick with routines over and over again. This is my preferred method. For example, every Monday and Thursday, I write a new article and post it on jamesclear.com. The time and date drives this pattern. It doesn't matter how good or how bad I feel about the article. It doesn't matter how long or how short the article is. All that matters is that I stick to the schedule. The time triggers the habit loop. As I've been just reading this, I'm basically doing the same thing. I've often, the best example I think would be, I think on the weekend, today is Tuesday, I think on Saturday. It must be Saturday, or it was Friday, I don't remember. On one of these days, I actually had to do the posts, or had to make some posts, design some posts, while I actually was on the go. Like, I haven't produced anything or anything for the day, and therefore I was quite forced to actually do it during the day, just because I was doing something, and I wasn't just able to do so. The thing there was, and I don't know how much it is actually correlated to what he's talking about there, but I clearly understand what he's talking about there. The thing is, I've just created some posts. I wasn't really thinking about whether this is, even whether this is actually providing something for anyone, providing any value or any entertainment or whatsoever. I'm still always kinda having a look at what I'm posting or what I'm just putting out there, and somehow ensuring that there is something that somebody could be using and some value that people can have or can get off of it or from it. But the thing was, I just put out something because I always, every single day, put out something. It wasn't really about, okay, what I put out on this particular day. Normally, it is just, well, I always just see and I always just try to put out things that I feel good about, first of all. Even though sometimes I'm not feeling good about things, I'm still gonna post them because of just I do not want to do just things 3 times or 4 times, especially because I know, okay, the quality doesn't matter that much. But a volume. The thing there is, I just put out stuff, and I totally just understand what he's talking about there. He's doing he is making the posts or he's making the articles or writing the articles just because he's always writing them. And he's willing to stick to this certain habit. And I think once you actually start with not just writing the article on this day and this day at this time and this time, even though I really feel like that it is a good choice to say like, okay, I'm going to write an article on Monday, on Thursday, and not really like I'm going to just write an article on Monday at 9 p.m. because, I don't know, I guess just it is a thing that you're doing every single week, and chances are pretty high that you're not going to be able to do this on certain time points. Therefore, like, just always having in mind, okay, it is Monday, I'm going to do it. Maybe he's even just having a proper time for it, or exact time when he's doing it. But you do just really have to think about it then. You just really have to structure it, because if it's then just a time point where, chances are pretty high that you're having to do something else, not that good for the habit. The thing is, Monday, you have 24 hours. On Thursday, you also have 24 hours. In 48 hours, you're going to be able to actually write 2 articles. You're able to, and you're going to find the time to do it, especially because it doesn't have to be the longest article there is. It could also just be a short one. But I guess, once you actually start with breaking the pattern, once you start with actually not doing it and I do not really want to cripple you, I don't really want you to be feared about just actually not doing or not, for example, writing an article one day because, well, you won't die, nothing will happen, basically. But I think if you start just doing it over and over again, somehow breaking the pattern is like, well, yeah, you're breaking the pattern, you're breaking the habit. And as I'm just thinking about it, I guess you're then actually replacing this habit of writing something with another one. Maybe with watching TV, or maybe with scheduling your time pretty badly. Or worse. No, it's badly, I guess. Not a good way. So I guess, well, yeah. The next time, I guess, just because we're already 25 minutes in, and I do understand that not all the people actually do have the time to watch 30-minute episodes, even though for the article, not for the article, but for the podcast, it is actually pretty nice to have a pretty long one, just because, well, podcasts are something that you're not just somehow actively watching or listening to most of the time, but rather just, well, basically, not basically, but passively, like, okay, you're just working and, besides working or while you're working, you're actually listening to some podcast or something like this. But the next cue is going to be location, which we are going to go through tomorrow. The third one, to somehow just actually give you a little bit of a macro picture, is preceding event. The fourth one is emotional state. And the fifth one is other people. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, especially because I know that there is just a lot of good stuff in it. But until then, thank you very much for, actually, wrong one. Thank you very much for listening and or watching. I'm pretty pumped. I'm really pumped for the episodes because I'm just thinking about the episodes in a different way. I'm not thinking about them as just something that I have to do, but something that I can do, basically that I can do. It's just not something that everybody can do. Theoretically, yeah. Practically, not so. I'm really grateful. I'm extremely fucking grateful that I'm able to sit here, just speak theoretically to people and just talk about shit that I'm passionate about. It's just really fucking amazing. But yeah, and also just me focusing more on just feeling good while doing the episode and just making a good episode rather than just making a good episode in post. I want to do them while I'm just doing them, actually, even though it sounds complicated. But yeah, thank you very much for listening and or watching. I see you the next time, and yeah, I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered. So basically, your legacy, which you do totally have in your control. Like, it is in your hands. Even though, as I always want to point out, you can't serve everyone. Not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone's gonna love you. Therefore, just keep that in mind, I guess. Thanks again. I see you the next time.